For our American with Disabilities Act assessment, we looked at Patton Veterinary Hospital. Patton Veterinary Hospital is located at 425 East Broadway, Red Line, PA. This project was created by Laura Schmidt, Courtney Wilt, and Annie Spokal.
There were 2 handicapped parking spaces with an access aisle that led right to the accessible slope in the sidewalk. This slope leads directly to the main entrance of the hospital. The spots were clearly marked with handicap accessible signs. However, there was a noticeable difference in the width of the spaces, with one of them not meeting the standard of 8 feet and the other being larger, but not large enough to be van accessible.
The ramp leading to the entrance of the building was not ADA accessible. The ratio of length to height was not within the guidelines and should be regraded to the necessary 20:1 ratio for better accessibility. We found it actually very difficult to roll the wheelchair up the ramp without any assistance. For clients bringing their pets into the hospital, this would be almost impossible to do while holding or maintaining control of an animal.
Upon approaching the front entrance, we noticed that there was no ADA-compliant handicap door opener. This caused a great degree of difficulty when opening the doors. When using an assistive device, opening and keeping the door open was not easily achieved. This was immediately identified as a major problem for clients with disabilities. Many of the employees noted that they were looking into fixing this issue to follow ADA standards. However, door dimensions and vestibule distance complied with ADA standards so that if there was a handicap door opener, getting through the front entrance would easily be achieved.
Checking in is one of the first things that you do when you arrive at the vet hospital. There are 3 different check-in counters, with only one being ADA accessible. The shorter desk was not directly in front of the main entrance, causing it to be a little inconvenient. However, it is nice that at least one of the options will be ADA accessible.
The waiting room featured bench-style seating, which did not include a designated area for wheelchairs. The benches were also lower than the required height. We were told by staff members that clients have made complaints about this issue in the past. We suggest that chairs should be available with higher seats and more back support. Room should also be made for clients in wheelchairs to accommodate everyone.
Each bathroom in the hospital complied readily with ADA standards. There was appropriate signage for each bathroom at adequate heights, and the doorway to get into the bathroom was measured as to be within the acceptable dimensions. Mirror, sink, light switch, and toilet heights also complied with ADA standards. There was a grab bar available next to the toilet. This aspect of the hospital was without a doubt the best in regard to ADA standards, with no real cons to mention.
There are a total of 9 exam rooms, all of different sizes. However, some of the smaller exam rooms were very cramped with the exam table and chairs. It is suggested to rearrange chairs in the room to allow for more space. Also, it is recommended that the employees be cognizant of clients with assistive devices and put them in the larger exam rooms if possible. All had appropriate entryway and light switch heights. The seating also passed ADA standards.
In the cat wing of the animal hospital, the hall was very narrow, which made it difficult to maneuver through with a wheelchair or walker. There is also no handicap parking immediately outside the entrance area to the cat wing. These are both issues that should be addressed to further comply with ADA requirements and improve accessibility. The hallway should be wider or less cluttered with furniture, and parking spots closer to the cat wing entrance should be designated as handicap spaces.
When checking for employee accessibility, we first noticed that there was no handicap parking for employees. We also noticed that there were many doorways and hallways that were not up to ADA standards. While using assistive devices, many of these areas were too narrow to maneuver without difficulty. Also, veterinary tech work tables were at a height that could not accommodate for a person using a wheelchair. The employee kitchen had an inaccessible sink, and anyone using a wheelchair would not be able to reach. The employee bathrooms, however, were up to ADA standards and complied with all measurement requirements.
In conclusion, there are areas of the hospital that passed ADA regulation, but there were other areas that were lacking and could use some improvements. Pros include both bathrooms passed all of the checks. There were exam rooms available that were large enough to accommodate for assistive devices. The parking lot for the patients was ADA accessible. The cons include no handicap button for the main entrance doors. The seating in the waiting area was too low and therefore not good enough for those who struggled with sit to stand. And finally, the cat wing is cramped, making it hard for those with wheelchairs and walkers to easily move through. So we urge the owners of the hospital to make the suggested changes to further comply with the ADA standards and better serve their clients.